Hello and welcome to Stampscaping 101. We're going to be doing a little experiment here with a watercolor pencil. I'm stamping these images here, which will be mostly the new Mystic Series images, in a StazOn ink. I'm going with the waterproof ink here, just so that I don't put the impressions back into solution. Okay. So we're starting off with the Mystic Trees left, following up here with the Mystic Hills right. And then we'll follow up here with the Mystic Hills left. And we're building up in this kind of vertical column here, which is very, common with the this kind of school of traditional Chinese ink paintings. All right, cleaning off here after I stamp it out, just, because it's in StazOn, so it'll clean up a little bit faster. All right, this is the Mystic Mountain large, and we'll go for a couple impressions of this. I'm going to leave room for a kind of a rising sun type of image within this space. I'm kind of getting my bearings with the quote that I want to use on here as well, so working around those two elements that'll be up in that sky area, okay? And then we want a little focal point here, so I'm stamping out this fishing boat down here, fishing boat with sail. And I do some practice impressions just to get a feel for where to put my impression pressure with such a small stamp. Okay, a 1-inch hole punch is my little template here for my sun. I'm laying down some yellow dye-based ink, following up here with red dye-based ink. And I want to go for a transitioning, kind of a split fountain look, a little rainbow look in that sun, just to give it some variation and richness. And my first attempts with a watercolor pencil. I'm talking about not just on this scene, but ever. I think. I don't think I've ever used a watercolor pencil before. But one of the things about these ink paintings, this traditional style of ink painting, is that they look like, they look like washy ink applications, almost like that watercolory type of look. So I wanted to go for some transitioning tones down into that open area. The open areas are going to represent clouds. So I want this kind of graceful, which I find, like watercolory types of paintings and studies and sketches done. I love that spontaneous look with the real fluid, graceful, kind of moving water type of texturing that you achieve with watercolors, or things like dyes or something like that if you're working with brush, brush applications of those types of things. You're going to have to practice with that type of thing usually to get really good at it, just like calligraphy, because everything is so instantaneous and spontaneous, and you can't really overwork it. An overworked watercolor, painting doesn't look really great. You want it to look real fluid and kind of gestural. All right, so that's the type of look I'm going for, but in, a much more, kind of controlled manner here, because that's what I'm usually a little bit better at, okay? Not these, like, real spontaneous gestural types of applications of media. What I do is much easier in terms of, not having practice or something like that in it, so I wanted to go for that look, or, see if I could achieve it here. So, okay, so as I'm applying this down, I really don't have any idea of how much to apply. I'm just kind of basing my application of that colored pencil touch with how I would use like a colored pencil. Okay, now I'm going back into it with water and spreading that around. And right now I'm feeling that, oh my God, that is really dark, and I'm not in control of it. It's almost too dark. So I'm going in here now with a little bit more of a dry brush thing, and I'm keeping that paper towel in my left hand so I can kind of wipe off a lot of the moisture. I was going in with a little bit too much moisture, I feel. Not for the overall look, but just in terms of where my oh, kind of abilities are, which are none, basically with this type of look here. So I'm kind of getting the feel for it as I go along here and how to spread this colored pencil media out, okay? Now, in the scene that I do after that I just did, I don't know, half an hour ago or something like that today, what I did was I used just a regular colored pencil for some areas, and then I used the watercolor pencil in the areas where I want the transition. So I felt that worked pretty good. I had a little bit more control over it, and I was a little bit more confident with that look. Right here, as I go into the colored pencil, I mean, the watercolor pencil, it's like, wow, that stuff really goes back into solution really fast, and it gives you, a really dark area if you're not too careful, if you've built it up in areas, fairly thick. So, like I said, those of you that have used that, watercolored pencils before, you're going to be very familiar with it. And it's going to be easy for you. But for me, I just wanted to be a little bit more controlled. Okay, music in the soul can be heard by the universe. Quote there up in the upper left. I thought that looked really good. Adding little pebbles, tiny rocks small down at the base, just to give that water a little bit more texture in the water's edge area. Okay, now here we're going to go in with some white pigment ink. Okay, I think things are looking fairly cloudy in those transition areas, and I think it looks okay as is, but I think that adding in some additional pigment ink right over the top of those transition areas where you have mountains going into the clouds or those mystic hills going back into the clouds, I think it looks pretty good with this pigment ink on there. It enhances the kind of textural range by making that lighting in there seem even softer. It looks more like clouds now too, with that white pigment ink used right over the top of it, making things a little bit more translucent and misty looking. Okay. So you notice, see, at the tops of all the objects, I'm leaving them for the most part darker, and at the base of them, they are lighter, so it goes from light to dark from bottom to top. Usually it's the opposite, where, lighting coming from above, but in this Mystic series, it looks pretty good to have that mist kind of coming from below and surrounding everything. So you don't have to have everything kind of connected, because it almost looks better separated from one another. All right, now that's the card. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching.